Namo Buddhassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, and the perfectly self-enlightened One. And for a second time, Namo Buddhassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, and the perfectly self-enlightened One. And for a third time, Namo Buddhassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Homage to the Worthy One, homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, and the rightly self-awakened One. Okay, so today we're going to be reading more Suttas. And today is the 27th of July 2018. And just now there's actually a lunar eclipse going on. And I'm pretty sure the eclipse is over and the light of the moon is just returning right now. I could go and check it out. If I just go over to the window, to make sure. It looks pretty cool. Yep. So the light is returning on the moon. So it had just been empty. Oh, there's me going all the way over there. Okay, a little bit of a delay on the stream, which is alright. And so yeah, full moon, Asalha Puja, the day of the first teaching, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta of the Buddha, and his conception in the womb. And several things happened on this day. You could go and look it up. It's like a Buddhist holy day in which we observe the precepts. And we will be doing a study today, continuing on reading through the Digha Nikaya. And last Sutta study, we read Heavenly Sights, Soul and Body, Sutta number 6. And today, I thought we were actually going to be reading Sutta number 2, but it seems that we are going to be reading 4 other suttas, or we are going to. And also, I think the reason why I say it seems like is because of the title of the stream. It should be fitting. So let me just make sure that my voice is okay. I'm not actually sure the sounds help on the voice, so but check this out. This is Sutta number 7, and it's just what's on this page right now. There's no second page to it. And so that's the first one we're going to start with today. It's interesting that it is in the Digha Nikaya of the long Discourses, but it's that's a reference to what we read last time. So that was a nice episode with lots of precious gems of Dhamma. So you can, I could put a link to it in the description below, and you can go and check it out. So go below the video, I'll make sure to put a link in it eventually. Should be there. And you can check that out. So we're just going to be continuing from there, Sutta number 6 to number 7. And then we're going to skip one, I think, and the next one. But here we go. Let me get into a comfortable position. How should I turn like this? Jalya Sutta. About Jalya. Sutta number 7. Maybe I could turn the screen down a little bit. Okay. Like that. I think that's better. Thus have I heard. We already got a footnote here. 188. Let's check it out. Okay, so we are on the right page in the footnotes because we're continuing on from last time. For some reason, the last part of Sutta 6 is here repeated as a separate sutta. Okay. The last part of Sutta 6 is here repeated as a separate sutta. If it is separate, I wonder if it got its own name. Okay. Thus have I heard. Once the Lord was staying at Kosambi in the Gosita Park, and two wanderers, Mandisa and Jalya, the pupil of the wooden bowl ascetic, came to him, exchanged courtesies with him, and sat down to one side. And then it says, verses 1 through 5 from Sutta 6, the one we read last time, and verses 15 through 19 from Sutta 6 as well. Thus the Lord spoke, and the two wanderers rejoiced at his words. Sadhu, they would say. So, that was just a short sutta, and I think that was a nice arrangement. Okay, so let me find the next three also short suttas. Super sutta. Yeah, here we go. So it should be the three next suttas here. Hope we can go through all of them. We have a visitor, like a flying, a little flying thing. So we're going to Sutta number 10, the Supa Sutta, about Supa, morality, concentration, and wisdom. Thus have I heard, with footnote 225. So let's make sure we're at the right place as well in the footnotes before we begin. 225, next page. It says that it's a description about the sutta, very technical, and then it just describes that R.D. Restevis points out that the three heads here are given as sila, samadhi, and panya, morality, concentration, and wisdom. It's nice to get the technical stuff from the footnotes, and apparently there's going to be two more here. Once, I'm sorry, here we go. Once, the Venerable Ananda was staying at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove in Anapintika's park, shortly after the Lord's final passing. And then we have footnote 226. Chronology is part of little account in this Nikaya. The Buddha's final passing is narrated in Digha Nikaya 16. Okay, so a footnote on the jumping around. The chronology is of little account in this Nikaya. Also, that's also why we are jumping around from Sutta 6-7 to 10, 11, and so on. It's really not meant in any continual sense, this collection of suttas. So keep that in mind purposefully. Okay, after the Lord's final passing, and at that time the youth Suppa, Todeya's son, was staying at Savatthi on some business. 227. He's got a footnote. A Brahmin whose name means man of Tutti. Okay, so his name means man of Tutti. And Suppa said to a certain young man, "Go, my lad, to where the ascetic Ananda is. Ask him in my name if he is in good health, free from fatigue, strong, vigorous, and dwelling in comfort. And say, it would be good if the Reverend Ananda would, out of compassion, visit the dwelling of Suppa, the son of Todeya." "Very good, sir," replied the young man, and he went to the Venerable Ananda, exchanged courtesies with him, and sat down to one side. Then he delivered the message. The Venerable Ananda replied, "It is not the right time, young man. Today I have taken some medicine. Perhaps it will be possible to come tomorrow, when the time and the occasion are suitable." And the young man rose, returned to Suppa, and reported what had passed between him and the Venerable Ananda, adding, My mission has been thus far accomplished, that the Reverend Ananda will probably take the opportunity to come tomorrow. And indeed, as that night was ending, the Venerable Ananda, dressed in the early morning, took his robe and bowl, and accompanied by the Venerable Jetaka, footnote 228, like Todeya, he is named after his birthplace in the Jetiya country. About Jetaka, the Venerable Jetaka came to Suppa's dwelling and sat down on the prepared seat. Then Suppa approached the Venerable Ananda, exchanged courtesies with him, and sat down to one side. Then he said, The Reverend Ananda was for a long time the Reverend Gotama's personal attendant, dwelling in his presence and near him. You, Reverend Ananda, would know what things the Reverend Gotama praised, and with which he aroused, exhorted, and established people. Which Reverend Ananda were those things? Suppa. There were 3 divisions of things which the Lord praised, and with which he aroused, exhorted, and established people. Which 3? The division of Aryan morality, footnote 229, Sila Kanta. This is also the name of the first of the 3 divisions of this Nikaya, but the other 2 do not conform to the same pattern. Sila Kantaya, Aryan morality, which is the name of the first division in which we still find ourselves. The division of Aryan morality, the division of Aryan concentration, and the division of Aryan wisdom. These were the 3 divisions of things which the Lord praised. Well, Reverend Ananda, what is the division of Aryan morality which the Reverend Gautama praised? Young sir, a Tathagata arises in the world, an Arahant, fully enlightened Buddha, endowed with wisdom and conduct, welfarer, knower of the worlds, incomparable trainer of men to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, enlightened and blessed. He, having realized it by his own super-knowledge, proclaims this world with its devas, maras, and brahmas, its princes and people. He praises the Dhamma which is lovely in its beginning, lovely in its middle, and lovely in its ending, in the spirit and in the letter, and displays the fully perfected and purified holy life. A disciple goes forth and praises the moralities, etc. Sutta number 2, which we haven't yet read. Thus, a monk is perfected in morality. That is the division of Aryan morality which the Lord praised. But something more remains to be done. It is wonderful, Reverend Ananda. It is marvelous. This division of Aryan morality is perfected, fulfilled, not left incomplete. And I do not see this division of Aryan morality fulfilled thus anywhere among the ascetics and Brahmins of other schools. And if any of them were to have found this perfection in themselves, they would have been so delighted that they would have said, "We have done enough. We have done enough. The goal of our asceticism has been reached. There is nothing more to be done." And yet, the Reverend Ananda declares that there is more to be done. Then it says, end of first recitation section. Don't want to leave that out. Reverend Ananda, what is the division of Aryan concentration, which the Reverend Gautama praised? And how is a monk a guardian of the sense doors? Explanation here. He guards the sense doors and attains the 4 jhanas. Sutta 2, verses 64 through 82, which Sutta 2, fruits of the wholeness life, we have not yet read. This comes to him through concentration, Aryan concentration. The Venerable Ananda replies, this comes to him through concentration. That is the division of Aryan concentration which the Lord praised, but something more is to be done. It is wonderful, Reverend Ananda, it is marvelous. This division of Aryan concentration is perfectly fulfilled, not left incomplete. and I do not see this division of Aryan concentration fulfilled thus anywhere among the ascetics and Brahmins of other schools. Okay, so what was the actual description of this Aryan concentration by the Venerable Ananda? How is he a guardian? No, first, what is the division of Aryan concentration which the Reverend Gautama praised? And how is a monk a guardian of the sense doors? Then the Venerable Ananda replies, this comes to him through concentration. That is the division of Aryan concentration which the Lord praised. But something more remains to be done. So it's not a long description, and not. So what does it mean? He guards the sense doors and attains the 4 jhanas. That means. Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about, actually, in the previous video as well. By guarding the mind, in this sense of a higher training, not meaning closing your eyes when it's disgusting or scary, but confronting it by investigating. So please allow me to refer back to the previous video as well, as to this morality, which the Venerable Ananda doesn't describe too much here. It's about meditative morality, meaning not letting the mind go here and there, but staying on the path, the right path. Because actually right concentration comes as a peak of the path, as a peak kind of, in the ultimate sense at least, as a peak of the Noble Eightfold Path. And first at that point can you actually be said to have right concentration. So I think that's also enough said about that. Okay. Not found among the ascetics and Brahmins of other schools. And if any of them were to have found this perfection in themselves, they would have been so delighted that they would have said, we've done enough, the goal of our asceticism has been reached, there's nothing more to be done. And yet the Reverend Ananda declares that there is more to be done. So this guy continues. Reverend Ananda, what is the division of Aryan wisdom which the Reverend Gautama praised? And so, with the mind concentrated, as to our description before, he attains various insights. And now it refers to Sutta number 2, again, which we haven't read, we will be coming through. That is known to him by wisdom. He realizes the 4 noble truths, the path, and the cessation of corruptions, Sutta 2. And he knows there is nothing further here. That is the division of Aryan wisdom which the Lord praised, with which he aroused, exhorted, and established people. Beyond that, there is nothing to be done. So at this point, the Venerable Ananda declares that beyond this point, there's nothing more to be done. And what was this point? This point was, what is the division of Aryan wisdom? That means, or the Venerable Ananda answers, with a mind concentrated on the Noble Eightfold Path, rightly concentrated in meditation, not in the jhanas. No, exactly, not in the jhanas in this case. Concentrated on vipassana jhanas. That means, that is actually jhanas, but they are beyond the the mundane jhanas, the worldly jhanas, because they actually penetrate to the core of reality itself. Not that I'm saying there is a core in reality, but there is uh, the state of not having had these insights and penetrated to the point of realizing these insights, and there is the state of having done so. And that is what I'm saying, not proclaiming a core or like an onion reality. This is to be seen for the meditator, for him or herself in meditation. Okay? And so, with the mind concentrated, he attains various insights, which we will be going through, I can see, in the next video, maybe, possibly. That is known to him by wisdom. He realizes the Four Noble Truths, the path and the cessation of the corruptions, the sankharas. And he knows there's nothing further here. That is the division of Aryan wisdom which the Lord praised, with which he aroused, exhorted, and established people. Beyond that, there is nothing to be done. It is wonderful, Reverend Ananda. It is marvelous. This division of Aryan wisdom is perfected, fulfilled, not left incomplete. And I do not see this division of Aryan wisdom fulfilled thus anywhere among the ascetics and Brahmins of other schools. And there is nothing further to be done. Excellent, Reverend Ananda. Excellent. Sadhu, sadhu. It is as if someone were to set up what had been knocked down, or to point out the way to one who had got lost, or to bring an oil lamp into a dark place, so that those with eyes could see what was there. Just so, the Reverend Ananda has expounded the Dhamma in various ways. Reverend Ananda, I go for refuge to the Lord Gautama, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. May the Reverend Ananda accept me as a lay follower who has taken refuge from this day forth as long as life shall last. And that is the end of the first sutta. Just like that. Nothing more and nothing less. Actually, I think there is something more. There is the request for refuge. And so by that we should definitely on this full moon and eclipse day, and I will go and see how far along the eclipse we are and how much of the moon has been lit back up, come out of the dark right now. And then we will take refuge in the Lord Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha as part of this Buddhist holy day. Okay, so let me check on this eclipse. Wow. So I would say the moon is about 80% back. So there's just a little bit on the right side of the moon. This is also called the blood moon, apparently. So, okay, let's take a refuge in the Buddha. I will put this here. Oh, there's no need to. I could do this. I was looking at it before, right? Yeah. Okay, so lucky for me, I got an email today from the Venerable Bhikkhu Samahita. And so, let me just read through it, because it's a wonderful Dhamma drop. Okay, so now I will put this here. How to be... Oh, okay. This Asalha Puja day is the full moon of July, which is noteworthy since on this celebrated day, 1. The blessed Buddha preached his first sermon, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. 2. The Bodhisatta was conceived in Queen Maya, who dreamt a white elephant entered her side. 3. The blessed Buddha made the great withdrawal from the world at the age of 29. 4. The blessed Buddha performed a twin miracle, Yamaka Patihariya, of dual appearance. 5. The blessed Buddha explained the Abhidhamma in the Tawatimsa heaven to his mother. 6. The ordination of Prince Arita and at Anuradhapura on the Arahant Mahinda on Sri Lanka. 7. The foundation of the celebrated Mahastupa and enshrinement of relics by King Tutukimunu. 8. The next day, the yearly 3 months rains retreat, Vasa, of Buddhist bhikkhus start, and bhikkhuni. Okay, so that's today. And as we just had, what was his name again? Let's just make sure that we don't forget his name. Supa. As Supa took refuge, requested refuge for Ananda. We didn't actually see Ananda give him refuge other than the teaching of the Dhamma, which is a refuge. Here we go. As long as this life lasts. Okay, there's no Pali here, so we could do the Pali. Buddhang Saranang. Oh, wait a minute, we should pay homage to the Buddha first. Namo Buddhassa, Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, and the rightly self-awakened One. Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. I go to the Buddha for refuge. Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. I go to the Dhamma for refuge. Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. I go to the Sangha for refuge. Tutiyampi. And for a second time. Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. I go to the Buddha for refuge. Tutiyampi. Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. And for a second time I go to the Dhamma for refuge. Tutiyampi. Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. And for a second time I go to the Sangha for refuge. Tatiyampi. Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. And for a third time I go to the Buddha for refuge. Tatiyampi. Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. And for a third time I go to the Dhamma for refuge. Tatiyampi. Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. And for a third time I go to the Sangha for refuge. And that is taking the refuge, formally, in Pali and English. And also the precepts of undertaking the 5 training rules of morality. The training rule of avoiding killing, number 1. All stealing, number 2. All sexual abuse and misconduct, cheating, and so forth. All kinds of misconduct. All kinds of dishonesty, lies, telling lies, withholding truth, covering up the truth, all kinds of deceit as part of this dishonesty. Avoiding all dishonesty by this training rule, number 4. And number 5, accepting the training rule of avoiding all alcohol and drugs, leading to carelessness and loss of control, wealth, and it leads to breaking, mostly actually this precept leads to the breaking of the other precepts. That's the most dangerous thing about it, beyond it hurting oneself. Okay, so that's that. Pretty awesome. And we say sadhu, 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 and rejoice just like Supa. Okay, so now, Sutta number 11, we're going to continue. Kewata Sutta. About Kewata. What Brahma didn't know, or what God didn't know. Just not God in creator God, but like a God. Let's find out more about what Brahma didn't know. And how so? Thus have I heard. Once... Oh, wait a minute. Let me get back here. Okay, test. Looks fine. Once the Lord was staying at Nalanda in Pavarika's mango grove, and the householder Kewata came to the Lord, prostrated himself before him, and sat down to one side. 230. Who is this guy? Kewaka, the householder. Kewata. Or Kewata. Funnily enough, it says here, Fisher, as several manuscripts have it. Restavis admits that it may turn out to be the better of the two. Kewata, Fisher. Okay, so maybe a fisher is better. Kewata than Kewata. Anyway, prostrated himself before the Lord, sat to one side. He then said, Lord, this Nalanda is rich, prosperous, populous, and full of people who have faith in the Lord. It would be well if the Lord were to cause some monk to perform superhuman feats and miracles. In this way, Nalanda would come to have even more faith in the Lord. The Lord replied, Kewata, this is not the way I teach Dhamma to the monks, by saying, Go, monks, and perform superhuman feats and miracles for the white-cloth lay people. For a second time, Kewata said, Lord, I would not be importunate, but I still say, this Nalanda is rich, prosperous, and would come to have even more faith in the Lord, should he perform such miracles, tell his monks to do it. And the Lord replied as before. When Kewata repeated his request for a third time, the Lord said, Kewata, there are 3 kinds of miracle that I have declared, having realized them by my own insight. Which 3? The miracle excuse me. The miracle of psychic power, the miracle of telepathy, the miracle of instruction. Footnotes 231. Iti Patiharyana, Miracle of Itti, 232. And that would be 231. Power, Itti. And number 2, Atisana Patiharya. This is actual telepathy, not the same as Manesika, mind searching or guessing another's thoughts, mentioned also in Digha. So telepathy. And 233. Anusani Patiharyana. The Buddha's teaching can be called miraculous because it leads to the most wonderful results. Vipaka. Those are the 3 that the Buddha knows of as miracles. What is the miracle of psychic power? Here, Kewata, a monk displays various psychic powers in different ways. Being one, he becomes many. Being many, he becomes one, at Sutta 2, verse 87. And he travels in the body as far as the Brahma world. Then, someone who has faith and trusts sees him doing these things. He tells this to someone else who is skeptical and unbelieving, saying, "It is wonderful, sir. It is marvelous. The great power and skill of that ascetic." And that man might say, "Sir, there's something called the Gantara charm. It is by means of this that the monk becomes many." What do you think, Kewata? Would not a skeptic say that to a believer? He would, Lord. And that is why, Kewata, seeing the danger of such miracles, I dislike, reject, and despise them. Okay, we got a footnote on the Gantara charm 234. A charm for making oneself invisible. Okay, so because of this disputing, the Buddha sees the danger in such miracles and dislike, reject, and despise them as such. And what is the miracle of telepathy? Here, a monk reads the minds of other beings, of other people, reads the mental states, their thoughts and ponderings, and says, "That is how your mind is. That is how your mind inclines. That is in your heart." Then, someone who has faith and trusts sees him doing these things. He tells this to someone else who is skeptical and unbelieving, saying, "It is wonderful, sir. It is marvelous. The great power and skill of that ascetic." And that man might say, "Sir, there is something called the Manika charm. It is by means of this that the monk can read the minds of others. And that is why, seeing the danger of such miracles, I despise them." The Manika charm 235. Or Chintamani Vicca, the jewel of thought charm, which enabled one to know the thoughts of others. The skeptic, of course, does not have a really convincing way of explaining things away. Modern parallels just themselves. Okay. And despise them. What is the miracle of instruction? Here, Kewata, a monk gives instruction as follows. Consider in this way. Don't consider in that. Direct your mind in this way, not in that way. Give up that. gain this and persevere in it. That Kewada is called the miracle of instruction. Again, Kewada, a Tathagata arises in the world, an Arahant, fully enlightened Buddha, endowed with wisdom and conduct, welfare, knower of worlds, incomparable trainer of men to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, enlightened and blessed. He, having realized it by his own super-knowledge, proclaims this world with its Devas, Maras, and Brahmas, its princes and people. He preaches the Dhamma which is lovely in its beginning, lovely in its middle, lovely in its ending, in this spirit and in the letter, and displays in the spirit and in the letter, and displays the fully perfected and purified holy life. A disciple goes forth and practices the moralities. He guards the sense doors and attains the 4 jhanas. He attains various insights. He realizes the 4 noble truths, the path, and the cessation of the corruptions or the taints. Sutta 2. We'll be coming to that. Okay, there's a footnote here. And he knows there is nothing further here. That Kewada is called the miracle of instruction. 236. Omitting, which deal with the powers of despairingly mentioned in verse. Okay, omitting. And I, Kewada, have experienced these miracles by my own super-knowledge. Once, Kewada, in this order of monks, the thought occurred to a certain monk, I wonder where the 4 great elements, the earth element, the water element, the fire element, the air element, cease without remainder. And that monk attained to such a state of mental concentration that the way to the Deva realms appeared before him. Then, coming to the realm of the Devas of the 4 great kings, he asked those Devas, Friends, where do the 4 great elements, earth, water, fire, and air, cease without remainder? Okay, let's see the footnote on the 4 great kings, 237. For all these realms and their inhabitants, verses 68, 81, introduction. Okay, yeah. So that's the 31 realms. We don't really need to go into that right now. Four great kings. At this question, the Devas of the 4 great kings said to him, Monk, we don't know where the 4 great elements cease without remainder, but the 4 great kings are loftier and wiser than we are. They may know where the 4 great elements cease. So that monk went to the 4 great kings and asked the same question, but they replied, We do not know, but the 33 gods may know. So that monk went to the 33 gods, who said, We do not know, but Sakka, Lord of the gods, may know. Sakka, Lord of the gods, said, The Yama Devas may know. The Yama Devas said, The Suyama, son of the Devas, may know. 238. Suyama, son of the Devas. Devaputta here denotes the ruler of a certain group of the Devas. In other contexts, it simply means male Devas. Okay. Suyama said, the Tusita Devas may know. And the Tusita, that's where the Ayamitya dwells, the next Buddha. And all the good Buddhists go to Tusita. Good Buddhists. The Tusita Devas told, Son Tusita, son of the Devas, may know. Son Tusita said, the Nimanarati Devas may know. And this just goes all the way up to the top. The Nimanarati Devas said, Sunimita, son of the Devas, may know. Going further and further up. Sunimita said, the Parinimitta Visavati Devas may know. Paranimitta Vasavati Devas. So these are the Devas of some kind of perfected in abode, something. Devas may know. The Paranimitta Vasavati Devas said, Vasavati, son of the Devas, may know. Vasavati said, the Devas of Brahma's retinue may know. Then that monk, by the appropriate concentration, made the way to the Brahma world. Made the way to the Brahma world appear before him. He went to the Devas of Brahma's retinue and asked them. They said, we do not know, but there is Brahma, great Brahma, the conqueror, the unconquered, the all-seeing, the all-powerful, the Lord, the maker and creator, the ruler, appointer, and orderer, father of all that have been and shall be. He is loftier and wiser than we are. He would know where the four great elements cease without remainder. And where, friends, is this great Brahma now? Monk, we do not know when, how, and where Brahma will appear. But when the signs are seen, when a light appears and a radiance shines forth, then Brahma will appear. Such signs are an indication that he will appear. Then, it was not long before the great Brahma appeared, and that monk went up to him and said, Friend, saying so to the great Brahma, Friend, where do the four great elements, earth, water, fire, and air, cease without remainder? To which great Brahma replied, Monk, I am Brahma, great Brahma, the conqueror, the unconquered, the all-seeing, all-powerful, the Lord, the maker and creator, the ruler, appointer and orderer, father of all that have been and shall be. A second time the monk said, Friend, I did not ask if you are Brahma, great Brahma. I asked you where the four great elements cease without remainder. And a second time the great Brahma replied as before. And the third time the monk said, Friend, I did not ask you that. I did not ask you that. I asked where the four great elements, earth, water, fire, air, cease without remainder. Then Kewatta, the great Brahma, took that monk by the arm, led him aside and said, Monk, These devas here believe there is nothing Brahma does not see. There is nothing he does not know. There is nothing he is unaware of. He's talking about his assembly, the assembly of Brahma, who does not know the answer to this question. That is why I did not speak in front of them. But monk, I do not know where the four great elements cease without remainder. And therefore, monk, you have acted wrongly. You have acted incorrectly by going beyond the Blessed Lord and going in search of an answer to this question elsewhere. Now, monk, you just go to the Blessed Lord and put this question to him, and whatever answer he gives, accept it. So that monk, as swiftly as a strong man might flex or unflex his arm, vanished from the Brahma world and appeared in my presence. He prostrated himself before me, then sat down to one side and said, Lord. So great Brahma said to this monk, now monk, you just go to the Blessed Lord and put this question to him, and whatever answer he gives, accept it. By word of great Brahma, who took this monk by his arm. Okay. He prostrated himself before me, then sat down to one side and said, Lord, where do the four great elements, the earth element, the water element, the fire element, and the air element, cease without remainder? I replied, monk, once upon a time, seafaring merchants, when they set sail on the ocean, took in the ship a land-sighting bird. When they could not see land themselves, they released this bird. The bird flew to the east, to the south, to the west, to the north. It flew to the zenith and to the intermediate points of the compass. If it saw land anywhere, it flew there. But if it saw no land, it returned to the ship. In the same way, monk, you have been as far as the Brahma world, searching for an answer to your question, and not finding it. And now you come back to me. But monk, you should not ask your question in this way. Where do the four great elements, the earth element, the water element, the fire element, the air element, cease without remainder? Instead, this is how the question should have been put. Where do earth, fire, and air no footing find? Oh, I'm sorry, I oversaw water. It should be put thus. Where do earth, water, fire, and air find no footing? Where are long and short, small and great, fair and foul? Where are name and form wholly destroyed? And I actually read wrong again on the first one. I said find no footing, but it says where do earth, water, fire, and air no footing find? That's how it reads. And we have the footnote 239. Mind and body, i.e. subject and object, or name and form, materiality and mentality, form, or body and mind, are ways we usually try and comprehend what it means, name and form. Where are name and form wholly destroyed? And the answer is, where consciousness is signless, boundless, all luminous. So what is signless? 240. Anittassanang, or invisible. Nanan, na, nanananda, renders it non-manifesting. Signless, non-manifesting, boundless, all luminous. Luminous. This word papang or papang has been variously interpreted. DA takes it in the sense of a ford or a place to enter the water, accessible from all sides, by means of which one can reach Nibbana. There is an improbable suggestion that the meaning is rejecting luminous. Let's just go with luminous. That's where earth, water, fire and air find no footing. There, both long and short, small and great, far, fair and foul. That was a page too much. Fair and foul. There, name and form are wholly destroyed. With the cessation of consciousness, this is all destroyed. 242. With the cessation of consciousness, this is all that is destroyed. Thus the Lord spoke, and the householder Kewata delighted and rejoiced in his words. Okay, so we have something that is a little bit conspicuous, right? How does it feel looking at this whole thing? He goes all the way to the Brahma world, and Brahma takes him up by his arm and says, "Don't ask such a question that I do not know." And then he sends him to the blessed Lord Buddha, who says that is the wrong way to ask a question. And then he tells Kewata how to ask such a question, so as to find the answer he's seeking. And the reason it is a wrong question to ask, in the way he's asking it, Kewata, is where does fire, water, earth and air cease? Where does that cease? The reason that is wrong to ask that way is not because Brahma doesn't know. That's 100% sure. And why do I know this? Which is kind of a risky statement to say that I know this and this is why. Why do I know this? Because the Buddha, for this reason, the same reason that I know why that's not the problem, that it's not a wrong question to ask because Brahma doesn't know. That's not the problem with the question. And why I know that is because the Buddha refers to the problem of the question, which is actually it is the assumption of something existing in and of itself, like say a stone, that a stone is existing. And to say that the stone is existing by itself is a misconception of things as they are, as in the case where Brahma thinks that he, for example, created the stone and everything else. But he does not know, Brahma that is, where the element of the stone ceases, because it is a misunderstanding. The stone, firstly, let's go through it. So the stone arises for us, for me, and for you. It arises in the mind as a sound first, not my voice, but the voice from the speakers vibrating so that your ears, the medium of your ear, gets in contact with the medium of my physical voice. That means the vibrations of my voice, which in turn carries words, which is just mouth noises. But we have agreed that they mean something, and then we have agreed that this means this, this means that, and I mean I, and you mean you, and so forth. And so that's what's going on. So what is arising is actually a concept. It is something that we create. When we think of the stone, we create the stone. Even if we see a quote-unquote real stone, we create the stone. First, by looking at it, that means seeking it out, kind of wishing it for it to be like, oh, there's no stone. Where I'm trying to look at a stone, seeking, there's a stone. So that's a thing of the mind, or an undertaking of both body and mind in our case. And so when we find and see the stone, based on the intent of seeing the stone, then we see the stone and we say, there is the stone. But what's happening is we are seeing, there is no stone. The only thing is real in the ultimate sense, in a meditative sense, of in an enlightened sense of understanding, is the phenomena of seeing. And that is, there is the eyes which sees the light, which in turn goes apparently somewhere to the brain and fires and makes us interpret it as a stone. And then we say stone because we speak in English. So far, so good. So where does the stone arise instead of where does the stone cease? The stone arises in the mind. It doesn't arise outside of ourselves. So in the same way, how do we... It's kind of a funny thing. I have already explained this in the study of the Aryavasa. So how do we experience the elements? For example, we don't actually experience the water element, for example. The element that gives weight, that gives mass. And the earth element is the element which gives solidity or makes something soft or hard. That is the mark of the earth element, and the air element is pressure. So the pressure of contact, actually, because air doesn't weigh so much. It weighs something, but it doesn't weigh that much. There's not much water in it, right? So it's really, really detailed. And okay, so why do I know that the Buddha did not say that this is a wrong way to ask the question, where do the elements cease? Because Brahma doesn't know. That's not right. The reason. The reason is because should the Buddha answer this question, he would do the questioner Kewata. He would do him a disservice, to say the least. Of course, Buddha would never. That would never happen. But the reason why that would be a disservice to Kewata would be because he would be agreeing to his wrong view of actually cause and effect and dependent origination. So, and that is actually the teaching of the Buddha, explaining how everything comes about and the causes of why these things comes about. Proximate cause and result, cause and effect. And so answering a question that disregards this very law of cause and effect, which the Blessed Buddha by his super knowledge realized for himself with insight, that would be that's just not going to happen. And why so? Because then the Buddha would also acknowledge the existence of Brahma and his all-seeing eye that does not see the end of the universe. Brahma doesn't know of his own end. That's not funny. It kind of is, because it is a delusion. Anyway, that's the end of the sutta. We have now been going on for 1 hour and 12 minutes. That's pretty much just 1 hour without the introduction. So that's the third sutta. And we should go through one more. Let me see. Yeah, let's go through the last one. And hang on in there. This is going to be another very cool one. Okay, so if you have any questions about what I just explained, please just ask it as best you can, and I will answer it. You can ask it below, or if there's anyone in the chat right now, I can look at it and answer it. Okay? And yeah, let's get through the last one and get on with our meditative lifestyle. And of course, doing lots of good things and good deeds if you're a Buddhist on this holy day of Asalha Puja and the full moon. Hopefully, when we're done with this one, the full moon will have returned with full radiance and no longer be covered over by the shadow of the earth. Huh? That's something. That's something auspicious, indeed. So, continuing on, let me just scooch a little bit. Now that I have become so curious or excited. Lohitja Sutta. Here we go. Sutta number 12. About Lohitja, good and bad teachers. Thus have I heard. Once the Lord was touring Kosala with a large company of some 500 monks, and coming to Salavatika, he stayed there, and at that time the Brahmin Lohitja was living at Salavatika, a populous place full of grass, timber, water, and corn. which had been given to him by King Pasenadi, King Pasenadi of Kosala, as a royal gift and with royal powers. Just then, this evil line of reasoning occurred to Lohitya. Suppose an ascetic or Brahmin were to discover some good doctrine. Having done so, let's see what they say about some good doctrine. Footnote 243, because we will have to turn the page. 243. You should read the footnote of what I was explaining before to the previous sutta. It is very culminating in such words as a notion which has its roots in the popular conception of self-existing material elements. So that was to the core of what I said. Props to me. The Buddha's reformulation of the original question and this concluding line are meant to combat this wrong notion of self-existing material elements, or the wrong notion in the great Brahma's mind, that Brahma has no ending. So, continuing on, it's a very, very interesting, I will be thinking about that probably for a long time, and also be exploring that more for myself in my own practice. 243, Kusalang Dhammang. Nice and easy. So that means, Kusala Dhammang means a good doctrine. Kusala means good, and Dhammang means doctrine, or teaching, or truths. Good truths, or true truths. This Lohitya had the evil thought, suppose an ascetic or Brahmin were to discover some good doctrine, Kusala Dhamma. Having done so, he ought not to declare it to anyone else. For what can one man do for another? It is just as if a man, having cut through an old fetter, were to make a new one. I declare that such a thing is an evil deed rooted in attachment for what can one man do for another. So this guy is just like, we might as well just give up and just never pursue any goodness, ever. This is the evil line of reasoning that arose in this Lohitya. Then Lohitya heard it said that the ascetic Gautama had arrived at Salavatika, and that concerning the blessed Lord Gautama a good report had been spread about, as Sutta 4, verse 2. As indeed it is good to see such arahants. And Lohitya said to Besika, the Barbara, friend Besika, go to the ascetic Gautama, ask in my name after his health, and then say, may the Reverend Gautama consent to take tomorrow's meal with his order of monks from the Brahmin Lohitya. Very good, sir, said Besika, and carried out the errand. The Lord signified his acceptance by silence. Then Besika, understanding the Lord's acceptance, rose from his seat and passed by with his right side to the Lord. He returned to Lohitya and told him of the Lord's acceptance. And Lohitya, as the night was ending, had choice heart had choice hard and soft foods prepared at his own home. Then he sent Besika to tell the Lord that the meal was ready, and the Lord, having risen early and taken his robe and bowl, went with his order of monks to Salavatika, and Besika the barber followed the Lord close at hand. And he said, Lord, this evil thought has occurred to the Brahmin Lohija. Truly, Lord, this is what the Brahmin Lohija has been thinking. It may well be so, Besika. It may well be so. So the Lord came to Lohija's dwelling and sat down on the prepared seat. Lohija personally served the Buddha and his order of monks with choice, hard and soft food, till they were contented and satisfied. Then the Lord had taken his hand from the bowl. Lohija took a low stool and sat down to one side. Then the Lord said to him, Lohija, is it true that an evil line of reasoning has occurred to you? Asked the verse. Yes, Reverend Gautama. What do you think, Lohija? Don't you reside at Salavatika? Yes, Reverend Gautama. Well now, if anyone should say the Brahmin Lohija resides at Salavatika, and he should enjoy the entire fruits and revenues of Salavatika, not giving anything away to others, would not anyone who spoke like that be a source of danger to your tenants? He would be a source of danger, Reverend Gautama. And as such, would he be solicitous for their welfare or not? He would not, Reverend Gautama. And by not being solicitous for their welfare, would he have a heart full of love for them, or of hatred? Of hatred, Reverend Gautama. And in a heart full of hatred is the wrong view or right view. Wrong view, Reverend Gautama. But Lohija, I declare that wrong view leads to one of two destinies, hell or an animal rebirth. 244. Let's grab the footnote. Nirayang wa tirachana yoning wa. Nirayang wa tirachana yoning wa. Yoning wa. There's a space. The statement that those who hold wrong views are liable to hell or an animal rebirth is off-putting to modern readers. It is doubtful whether either term originally meant what it was later taken to mean. It's like being called lowly educated or a beast or an animal. All those good things, which are not good. See the introduction. See the introduction. A painful or beast-like rebirth might express the meaning better. An ogre, maybe. It should be realized too that the wrong view referred to means one according to which there are no rewards and punishments for good and evil deeds. Yeah, so this is this lack of arousal in what is true and right. Hence, no operation of moral law. This kind of view the Buddha always declared to be particularly reprehensible. So yeah, back to the guy here. He's just like, we might just give up and not do anything. That was so much for 244, right? What do you think, Lohitja? Does King Pasenadi of Kosala reside at Kasi Kosala? He does, Reverend Gautama. Well, if anyone should say King Pasenadi of Kosala resides at Kasi Kosala, and he should enjoy the entire fruits or revenue of Kosala, not giving anything away to others, would not anyone who spoke like that be of a source of danger to his tenants? Would he not have a heart full of hatred, and would that not be wrong view? It would, Reverend Gautama. Then surely, if anyone were to say the same of Brahmin Lohitja, that would be wrong view. In the same way, Lohitja, if anyone should say, suppose an ascetic or Brahmin were to discover some good doctrine, kusala dhammang, and thought he ought not to declare it to anyone else, for what can one man do for another? He would be a source of danger to those young men of good family who, following the Dhamma and discipline taught by the Tathagata, attain to such excellent distinction as to realize the fruit of stream entry, of once returning, of non-returning, of arahantship, and to all who ripen the seeds of a rebirth in the Deva world. 245. Footnote. Those whose meritorious deeds, punya, goodness, will lead to rebirth in Deva world, life in which is exceedingly pleasant, but not, of course, everlasting. The mischief of Lohitja's evil view is precisely that it may hinder such a consummation. So because Lohitja clings to this wrong and dangerous view, that is actually the same as being blocked from entering heaven. That is important, which is kind of really important for beings not to go to hell. Being a source of danger to them, he is uncompassionate, and his heart is grounded in hostility, and that constitutes wrong view, which leads to hell or an animal rebirth. And if anyone were to speak thus of King Pasenadi, he would be a source of danger to the king's tenants, yourself and others. As verse 13. Lohitja, these three kinds of teachers in the world are blameworthy, and if anyone blames such teachers, his blame is proper, true, in accordance with reality, and faultless. Which three? Here Lohitja is a teacher who has gone forth from the household life into homelessness, but who has not gained the goal of asceticism. And without having gained this goal, he teaches his discipline. He teaches his disciples a doctrine, saying, Doctrine 246, Dhammang, but not necessarily Buddhist Dhamma. Okay, so he teaches maybe another doctrine that is not the Buddha Dhamma, not the teaching of the Buddha. Saying, this is for your good, this is for your happiness. But his pupils do not wish to hear, they do not listen, they don't arouse the thought of enlightenment, and the teacher's instructions are flouted, because they do not listen. And such. he should be blamed, saying, "This venerable one has gone forth, his instructions are flouted. It is just as if a man were to persist in making advances to a woman who rejected him, and to embrace her though she turned away. This I declare to be an evil doctrine based on attachment for what can one man do for another." Okay, and then we have footnote 247. This is a really interesting simile of the Buddha. Maybe we should read that again. The Buddha repeats Lohija's own phrase. Okay, so the Buddha repeats at this point Lohija's own phrase. This is the first teacher who is blameworthy, saying, "One man cannot do anything good for another, and therefore we might as well not do anything, because there is no results either of good deeds or bad deeds. Such a man," saying thus to his disciples, instructing them in this destructive, dangerous and painful doctrine, false doctrine, saying, "This is for your good, this is for your happiness." But his pupils don't wish to listen, they don't want to hear, and they don't arouse the thought of enlightenment. So such a teacher never touches on anything as enlightenment or close to leading to the path leading to enlightenment. He should be blamed, saying, "This venerable one has gone forth, his instructions are flouted. It is just as if a man were to persist in making advances to a woman who had rejected him, and to embrace her though she turned away. This I declare to be an evil doctrine based on attachment for what can one man do to another." Epic. This is the first teacher who is blameworthy. Those words are new to me by the blessed Lord Buddha. I'm rejoicing in the Buddha's words for the first time. And I'm back. Again, there is a teacher who has gone forth, but who has not gained the goal of asceticism. Without having gained this goal, he teaches his disciples a doctrine saying, "This is for your good, this is for your happiness." Don't they all say that? His pupils wish to hear, they listen, they rouse the thought of enlightenment, and the teacher's instructions are not flouted. He should be blamed, saying, "This venerable one has gone forth. It is as if, leaving his own field, he should think another's field in need of weeding. I declare this to be an evil doctrine rooted in attachment." This is the second teacher who is blameworthy. Okay, so this is the teacher who, not having done what should be done, goes and tells other people to do what should be done. So, for example, a monk who doesn't meditate or study himself, or a monk who only studies and not meditates. Or an ascetic in this case. It's like Tuja Putila, the empty book. Oh, there goes Tuja Putila. comes. Oh, there goes Tuchipatilla, comes over here so angry. Oh, now Tuchipatilla rises up, shouting everything. And then he runs to the forest and cries and cries and cries until there's an angel that comes down beside him and also starts crying. And now Tuchipatilla the monk, with many enlightened students, one of which flew out the window right in front of him because he was tired of his teacher not being enlightened or being heedful himself, flew out the window to show him a lesson. That was what made him go see the Buddha. And now he's crying in the forest. Angel, come down from heaven, cry beside him. Then the monk asks the angel, the Deva, what could have caused you to come here and cry besides me? I'm just an empty book, crying. And then the Deva says, well, venerable monk, I saw you coming here to the forest and crying, and I know that you have many enlightened disciples under you, and you have taught people the path to enlightenment. So I thought, if I came here and started crying as well, that I should become enlightened, said the Deva to him. And at that point, Tuchipatilla, crying in the forest, the monk, sobered up. But that's another story. A good one to think about when you have to think about this teacher who teaches but does not train himself first. And Buddhism and the Dhamma, you always start with yourself. Don't not share the Dhamma because you are not enlightened. Just don't say that you are enlightened or pretend to be. Just say that this helps me in this way, in that way. If you have to share the Dhamma or you have the opportunity to with friends or family, and present it as such. That's no problem. If you do that, that's very, very good. You'll be born right in heaven, doing it right. But don't be an empty book running around saying you're a full book. Wait till you fill your pages. Okay, this is the second teacher who is blameworthy. Again, there's a teacher who has gone forth and who has gained the goal of asceticism. Having gone forth, he teaches, but his pupils don't wish to hear him. His instructions are flouted. He too should be blamed, just as if, having cut through an old fetter, one were to make a new one. I declare that this is an evil doctrine rooted in attachment. For what can one man do for another? This is the third teacher who is blameworthy. And these are the three kinds of teacher that I spoke of as blameworthy. Okay, so why is the third teacher here blameworthy? He is one who has gone forth and who has gained the goal of asceticism. Having gone forth, he teaches, but his pupils don't wish to hear him. His instructions are flouted. So he himself has gained the path, but his instructions are flouted, or maybe he's giving the wrong instructions because he has this wrong, dangerous view, as the Buddha says, of what good could that possibly do to anyone else that they should gain goodness, or that I should show them the way to enlightenment. So he teaches something that leads another way than to enlightenment. This is the third kind of blameworthy teacher. Who can we think of as such? That's a hard one to think of. Let's just continue onto the last page here, so we can end off in our so far longest episode. Okay. Then Lohitja said, Reverend Gautama, are there any teachers in the world who are not blameworthy. Here, Lohitja, a Tathagata arises in the world. An Arahant, a Tathagata, is what the Buddha calls himself. It means someone who has gone thus, who has arisen at this present moment. In that point of time, not this point of time. An Arahant, fully enlightened Buddha, endowed with wisdom and conduct, welfarer, knower of the worlds, incomparable, trainer of men to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, enlightened and blessed. He, having realized it by his own super-knowledge, proclaims this world with its devas, maras, and brahmas, its princes and people. He preaches the Dhamma, which is lovely in its beginning, lovely in its middle, and lovely in its ending, in the spirit and in the letter, and displays the fully perfected and purified holy life. A disciple goes forth and practices the moralities, guards the sense doors, and attains the first jhanas. And whenever the pupil of a teacher whenever the pupil of a teacher attains to such excellent distinction, that is the teacher who is not to be blamed in the world. And if anyone blames that teacher, his blame is improper, untrue, not in accordance with reality, and faulty. So that means even just thinking this thought that may such a being or teacher not teach, even just thinking, not even being close to that being, even just thinking, hiding underground, thinking it to himself, just no one hears it, that could get you to be banned from ever being born, even as a human. Or you can never be born in heaven. Never be born in heaven. You can never ever be born in heaven. Pretty much. And you will 100% go to hell. Even if you're hiding while you're thinking it. And intending on it, really like, oh yes, I really mean this. And why so? Because here we have the Buddha's words for it. Anyone who blames that teacher, his blame is improper, untrue, not in accordance with reality. And that's the point I was trying to make here. It's like unhinging. And I'm again not trying to say that there's a core to reality in which you can grasp onto, but imagine being like a dog and someone hinges you to something, your collar, right, onto a wall, and you're there. And the reason you're there is because there's okay, so there's a natural disaster and there's just rain all around you, and you're just standing on a circle and you're a dog. And if you go like out in the water because it's raining, some electric pole has turned over and now the water is electric. And so you've been put to this tree pole up beyond the water, not to go into the water and get electrocuted. And then you're smart like a dog, and then you think, oh, now I want to drink some water because that's more important than doing what my master tells me to. And then so the dog goes over and unhinges that thing there, and then he goes into the water and dies. That's what it means when I say an unhinging. That's when the mind no longer has a grasp on reality. The turning point of insanity. From sanity to insanity. Very scary stuff. Continuing on. He attains the other three jhanas and various insights. See Sutta 2. Whenever the pupil of a teacher attains to such excellent distinction, that is a teacher who is not to be blamed in the world. He realizes the Four Noble Truths, the path, and the cessation of the corruptions. Whenever the pupil of a teacher attains to such excellent distinction, that is a teacher who is not to be blamed in the world. And if anyone blames that teacher, his blame is improper, untrue, not in accordance with reality, and faulty. At this, the Brahmin Lohitya said to the Lord, Reverend Gotama, it is as if a man were to seize someone by the hair who had stumbled and was falling into a pit, and to set him on firm ground. Just so I, who was falling into the pit, have been saved by the Reverend Gotama. Indeed so. He knows. 248. Naraka, a synonym of Niraya, hell, Mahanarok, the deepest hell. Excellent, Reverend Gotama, excellent. He continues, it is as if someone were to set up what had been knocked down, or to point out the way to someone who had got lost, or to bring an oil lamp into a dark place, so that those with eyes could see what was there. Just so the Reverend Gotama has expounded the Dhamma in various ways. I go for refuge to the Lord Gotama, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. May the Reverend Gotama accept me as a lay follower who has taken refuge from this day forth for as long as life lasts. And that was the Sutta, Lohitya Sutta, on good and bad teachers. And that is the end of today's Sutta study. We had 4 suttas. They were Sutta number 7, Jalya Sutta, Sutta number 10, Supa Sutta, about Supa, morality, concentration and wisdom, Sutta number 11, Kevata Sutta, about Kevata, what Brahma didn't know. Good one. Lohitya Sutta, good and bad teachers. So that's 4, right? Yeah. 2 here, 1 on the next page, and 1 number 7, which was just 1 line. And so, now we are finally beginning to see more and more a bigger picture, a fuller picture of the map. And we have our compass. And so, with all that, our longest episode so far, I think, in reading, during this full moon Asalha Puja day, where the moon got covered by the shadow of the earth, and just now probably is fully uncovered and shining in all its splendor. I will be going over to look right now, and I will be keeping an eye on the moon until it again becomes full and radiant during this Asalha Puja. And thank you so much to all who have taken the time and attention to listen through this almost 2-hour long Sutta study. may you find true peace, lasting happiness that can never may you never fall down to the lower births as a hell being or a demon or an animal. By finding true freedom from suffering in the Buddha Dhamma, hereby, by your own effort and investigation and intention on the Dhamma. And if you like this video, please make sure you check out the previous one. I'll put a link below here, and you can check that one out as well. Really good. And I can put a video link to the first video of this session as well, this whole study group where we started off, if you want to as well. Otherwise, leave a like and subscribe, and thank you so much for listening, and peace out. And yeah, I'll go look at the full moon now. Okay? Peace.